So we continue with business paper 1, May, June 2019, right? May, June 2019. Right? Great. We have question 3. Backyard Shoes is analyzing its financial position before it begins selling shoes to men and children. When we talk about financial position, we're talking about the worth of your assets or liabilities. So before it starts selling shoes to children and men, the first question says divide the term profit. Profit is the difference. Profit is the difference between the total revenue and the total cost. Profit is what the difference between the total revenue and the total cost. Or you say profit is total revenue minus total cost. TR minus TC. Anyone you write, you get the mark. Clear? Question B. Outline one impact on backyard shoes if interest rate increases. An increase in interest rate means borrowing becomes expensive, savings become cheaper. Borrowing becomes expensive. To save, more reward. There is more reward for savings, less reward for borrowing. So if you borrow more with a high interest rate, the cost is high, but the reward for saving is also high. So now, what is the impact of an increase in interest rate? An increase in interest rate means customers would prefer to save rather than to spend. Do you get it? When the interest rate increases, people would prefer to save more because the reward for saving increases. So people would prefer to save more than to borrow, because if they borrow, they have to pay higher interest rates. So it's not good to borrow when the interest rate is high. So savers will be better off. As a result, those who patronize customers of backyard shoes would rather save than spend. So because they are saving than spending, it means the revenue for backyard shoes will fall. Backyard shoes will not be selling as it used to sell because people start saving now, not spending. Do you get the point I'm making here? So an increase in interest rate will mean that customers of backyard shoes or potential customers of backyard shoes would prefer to save their money rather than spending, and this will reduce the sales for backyard shoes. So that is the impact of interest rate. Is it clear? Question C. Backyard shoes monthly fixed cost are 100,000 KS with a variable cost of 3,500 KS for a pair of shoes at a selling price of 4,300 KS. Calculate the break-even point. You are advised to show your working. The formula for break-even point is fixed cost divided by contribution. The formula for break-even point is fixed cost divided by contribution. And what is contribution? Contribution is the revenue per unit minus variable cost per unit. Contribution is revenue, sales per unit minus variable cost per unit, which is SP minus VC. Listen again. When you are told to calculate for break-even point, the formula is fixed cost divided by selling price minus variable cost. So here we have our fixed cost to be 100,000 divided by our variable selling price, which is 4,003 minus variable cost 3,500. So this is it here. Break-even point. Break-even point is FC divided by contribution. Contribution is selling price minus variable cost. So 100,000 divided by 4,300 minus 3,500 gives us 125. I think that's 125 shoes. So the break-even point is 125 shoes. So backyard shoes need to sell 125 shoes if it really needs to break even. That's the point there. We'll go to question D. Analyze the benefit to backyard shoes of using break-even analysis to plan the launch of its new shoes for men and children. So I wrote, it allows the benefit of break-even analysis are it allows the company to see that it needs to sell 125 pair of shoes before it can break even. This means it can know if they are breaking even and moving towards profit. With break-even point, the backyard shoes would know that it needs to sell 125 shoes before it can break even. So as soon as 125 shoes are sold, whatever additional sales, it will bring about profit. That is the point there. So backyard shoes will know when it needs to make more, when it will be able to make profit. It will be able to make profit if 125 shoes, more than 125 shoes are sold. That's the first reason for break-even analysis. The second one is that it allows backyard shoes to know the impact of price changes could be on break-even point, as this means backyard shoes may decide to lower price to remain competitive if needs be. Another reason why you need to use break-even analysis is that it shows you the impact of changes in price. So if the prices increases and the numbers of consumers buying reduces, your break-even point will shift to the right. That means you need to sell more before you can break even. So as a business, you'll be able to know if you need to increase price or reduce price with break-even analysis. So break-even analysis allows a business to make decisions about price increase or price reduction. Is it clear? Is it clear, please?
Yes.
So that's about question 3D. We go to question 3E. So for question 3E, it's about crowdfunding. I'm going to do that separately. They said in order to start selling shoes to men and children, backyard shoes will need additional finance. They said in order to start selling shoes to men and children, backyard shoes will need additional finance. The owners are considering the following two options: crowdfunding or overdraft. Additional finance means it needs more money to produce to sell more shoes. So now there are two options here. There's crowdfunding, which is an external source of finance, and overdraft is also an external source of finance. So, but for crowdfunding, it's an external source of finance that you don't need to pay back to the investors. But overdraft, you have to pay back. So I'm going to explain each one at a time. So for crowdfunding is a quick way to raise finance to buy latest fashions, which means investors can be paid through products rather than financial reward, as this will help cash flow. However, it is risky as the amount raised might not be sufficient to buy additional stock required, which might bring about negative impression from the public. When we talk about crowdfunding means you invite large numbers of people to contribute small amount of money. Do you get it? You invite large numbers of people to contribute small amount of money for your project. But this invitation is done via the internet. So you invite people through the internet, maybe the bloggers or social media. You invite the people, you tell them about your project, they contribute towards your project. That is what crowdfunding is. So the good thing about the benefit of crowdfunding is that you don't have to pay back the investors whatever they contribute. Do you get it? So the only thing you could do for them is maybe give them access to buy shoes, or you give them shoes in return of the money. That's what backyard shoes could do. But the problem about crowdfunding is that now that you've publicized, now that you tell the people that you have a project, they've contributed. If the money is not enough to carry out the project and you are unable to do the project, it destroys your reputation as a business. You get the point I'm making here? For crowdfunding, you've invited people, you tell them about your project, and they've contributed small amount of money for your project. So if the money they contributed is not enough to carry out or to execute the project, and as a result you were unable to execute the project, they wouldn't know about that. What they will say is that you scammed them, you lied about your project, you never did any project, there was no project in place. So it could destroy your reputation as a business. That is, the benefit is that it is quick to make and you are not refunding the money to them, and you are not paying interest. But the problem about crowdfunding is that if the money contributed is not enough, it might destroy your reputation as a business. That is crowdfunding. They will go to overdraft. For overdraft is a credit facility that allows backyard shoes to withdraw more than its available credit balance. So that means backyard shoes could take more than what it has in the bank. That is an overdraft. It's a short-term external source of finance. The advantage is that you'll be able to use the money to buy whatever shoes you want to buy. But the problem about a bank overdraft is that the bank might request for the repayment at any point in time. They might tell you next month, but the needs might be that they need the money now. So bank, whenever they need it, they call for the repayment, and you might not have it that time, and that's a problem. That's the problem about that's the problem about bank overdraft. Aside that, for bank overdraft, the interest rate is always high. So you could pay high interest rates. So that's the difference between bank overdraft and crowdfunding. Is it clear? Is it clear, please?
Yes.
Alright, so we'll move on. So that ends question 3. Have it, please. We'll go to question 4. Question 4. Backyard Shoes buys children's shoes for 2,400 KS and sells them for 3,200 KS. Calculate the markup on these shoes. You are advised to show your working. For markup is, the formula for markup is profit per item divided by cost per item multiplied by 100. Markup, the formula for markup is profit per item divided by cost per item multiplied by 100. So how do you get your profit per item? Profit per item is selling price minus cost price divided by cost price multiplied by 100. So here we have our selling price to be 3,200. Our selling price is 3,200. Our cost price is 2,400, and we are told to show the markup. So it is 3,200 minus 2,400 divided by 2,400 multiplied by 100. So that gives us 33.3%. 33.3%. Is it clear? Is it clear, please? So go to question B. Analyze the usefulness of profitability ratios to backyard shoes. For profitability ratios, I wrote, it can use the information to work out how much profit can be made from buying and selling shoes and compare it to previous year. This can also help to determine if the business can expand or not, as it reflects on the financial position. Backyard shoe is checking its financial position. So one way to check your financial position is through the profit you make, because the profit is a reflection of the status of the business. So with profitability ratios, backyard shoes would be able to know what it needs to buy and what it's buying and selling that allows it to make profit compared to the last year. So the profit made this year, you compare it with last year. So if the profit this year is more than the last year, it means the business is doing well. So backyard shoes might use that result to decide if to expand the business or not. Is it clear? 2, it can also be used to determine if the business needs a short-term finance or not. So another reason why another usefulness of profitability ratios is that it allows you to know if backyard shoes needs more money in the short term to pay for expenditures, to pay for the running cost or not. Because if profit is not much, that means if the profit is not much, it might mean that you need additional money to pay for the day-to-day running of the business. So you might need a short-term finance like bank overdraft. So with profitability ratio, you would know as a business, or backyard shoes would know if it needs short-term finance or not. That is the advantage of, or that is the benefit of profitability ratio. Is it clear? Is it clear, please?
Yes, sir.
So we go to question C. Okay. They said evaluate the importance of primary market research to backyard shoes. You should use the information provided as well as your knowledge of business. So when we talk about primary market research, we're talking about field research. That means information is being collected from respondents by the researcher. So you are the one on the field gathering information. That is primary research. You get primary research here? So I wrote, primary market research is a data collected by the researcher on the field. Examples are questionnaires and focus groups. So we're going to talk about questionnaires and focus groups because they are methods of primary market research. So we start with questionnaire. For questionnaire, it means the researcher comes up with different questions that it's going to ask respondents. So I wrote, backyard shoes could question customers in the mall on their needs and wants for shoes. This means customers' needs can be met by producing their specification. It may result in higher revenue. However, it can be time-consuming to find out consumers' needs. Also, if needs are met by competitors in the local area, it becomes a waste of time as it will not have any positive impact on sales. So for questionnaire means backyard shoes make up questions that it can ask customers in the shopping mall about their product or service, about its shoes. This allows backyard shoes to meet up the needs and wants of customers and their specification. because backyard shoes is asking questions from those that are those that are potential customers or existing customers. But the problem about questionnaire is that it takes time before you can put people together. And sometimes people don't have time. They answer the question, they might not even give you the right answers because they just want to move on. They don't have time to be writing or answering questions. So that's the problem about questionnaire. And also, if by the time you gather the information about their needs and wants, maybe your competitors have done the same thing. They've met up with the needs and wants of customers. So your research becomes a waste of time and a waste of money. That's about questionnaire. Then we have focus group. For focus group, here we're talking about the business speaking directly to specific group of customers. So I wrote, this allows the business to speak directly with customers who buy their shoes. It is a form of qualitative data because you are able to get opinion, attitudes of customers that have used the shoe. That is qualitative data. So it helps, that means with qualitative data, backyard shoes might be able to improve the quality of its shoes. That is the point there. But however, focus group doesn't represent a wider view of customers, as there might be need for secondary research to gather more information on competitors and suppliers. When you use focus group are just about those customers who have used your shoes. But that is not the only thing you need as a business to be able to improve in whatever you do. You need information about your competitors. You need information about suppliers. Maybe there are still cheaper suppliers out there. Maybe your competitors are doing better than you do. How are you going to be able to know? You won't be able to know with focus group. It means you might need secondary data, information from the past, to be able to decide the future or the present. Is it clear? So that's the difference between focus group and questionnaire. For questionnaire, it is you get information immediately from people, and it is quick.
Yes.
The information can be, you can quickly get this information, and you might be able to know what customers' needs and wants are, and you meet up with the specification. The problem about questionnaire is that it takes time, and it might be a waste of time. Also, sometimes your competitors have done what you think you want to do, so it becomes waste effort. For focus group, yes, you'll be able to speak directly to those who have used your shoes, which means you'll be able to know what improvements needs to be done. But the problem about focus group is that with focus group, it only represents the people that have used your shoe. What about your competitors? What about potential customers? How are you going to be able to get information about them? So you need not just primary research, you need secondary research. So primary research focus group is not going to be enough for your research. You need secondary research too. Is it clear? That ends paper 1 for May, June 2019. Question 3 and 4.